club.
Literally read it so many times. I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there. That's a good point, don't you think?
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's just a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason,
So bad about
and
that.
it's not selfish media.
Release it. Tell yourself a different story.
We're going to talk to Kenny about that because you're
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
Right?
There is no easy way to get anything
What?
ever. The intro's coming. I can feel it.
man.
Can you feel it?
Yeah, it's not uh-oh.
No, it's like, uh-oh.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Whoa. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Nat on the Deering Acting Studio podcast. So excited to be with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe.
That was the most random subscribe.
I always
plug.
forget to say it, so
Don't
I'm
forget
like,
to subscribe.
do
Just
it.
do it.
Hit the button. Here's the deal. We got the most amazing show today. We've got a guest on, Kenny Weiss, going to talk to us about our journey to success. And this guy's great, I think. But his book is really good. Like, I'm loving the book, so I have to assume that this guy's pretty great. So, Bri Guy, can we start off with some daily devotional real quick?
Yes, we can. Our verse for the day will be Jeremiah 29:11.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
Go.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
That was a little bit choppy.
Yeah, I did choppy up that last part.
Yeah.
I'll do it one more time. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
You know what that sounds like to me?
What's that?
Like a journey to success.
It sounds a lot like a journey to success. Yeah, I might have picked the verse for that reason. Yeah.
And like God's got a
I need to
plan.
pay you guys for my
Oh,
money.
Kenny's like, I can't stay quiet. I gotta talk to these guys. Let's bring on Kenny. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny Weiss, welcome Kenny Weiss to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you guys. Thanks for having me.
You are just as good looking as you are in the back of this book.
Well, thank you. That's kind of decent.
Is blue your color for your suits?
Yeah, actually purple. If you look at my house, my business brand, and all my clothes, most of my clothes are purple. So yeah, purple is everywhere in my life. So
All right. I like it.
It's called branding.
I changed it up today. So
All right, so Kenny, what do you think about that Bible verse we threw out there?
it's just true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
I
not much more to say. It's just like, some things just speak for themselves.
I like it.
The Bible speaks for itself. Kenny. Love it.
So Kenny, thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about you. So what is it that you do? If a client comes in to work with you, what would be? How do you describe your job?
There's kind of a metaphor that I kind of use. You remember watching the Wizard of Oz? Remember how Dorothy is standing at the yellow brick road and she's excited because she's going to live her life like she knows she's destined for greatness. The rainbow's at the end. And
you're the witch. Is that what you're saying?
Nervous because she can see part of the road, but not the full road to the rainbow. Well, that's kind of how we all live our life. We know we're destined for something, and we can kind of see part of the road, but not the full road. We're not quite sure how to get to the rainbow. And really my job is to place the golden bricks in front of a person to get to that rainbow. That's the easiest way to do it. And I found a unique, really a groundbreaking way that goes beyond counseling, therapy, the typical teaching that's out there. It's based on the latest neuroscience and stuff that just goes beyond what's been taught. And so I've been highly effective at helping people overcome health issues, relationship issues, fear, anxiety, stress, procrastination, work problems, whether they're not reaching their potential, finding their life purpose. It's the bottom line is this: if any part of your life isn't working, personally, professionally, socially, whatever it is, it all revolves around the cycle I talk about in my book. And
yeah, let's dive into that really quick, Kenny, because I was fascinated by this, and I agree. I think this is groundbreaking. I haven't read it. I've read a lot of personal development books, and I have not read this particular, the way that you presented it. I really liked it. So for our audience, briefly, take us through the worst day cycle.
Okay, well, the first thing to recognize, one of the things that sets me apart is almost every program out there, you know, they say is basically thought-based. It's not even how our brain and body works. We all, in almost every instance, we feel before we think. And so if you're chasing a program that's thought-based, you're not chasing the solution. You'll never get there, because everything we do starts with a feeling. And the basic, you know, obviously it took me, you know, the audible to my book is 6 hours long to describe the cycle, but I'll try and shorten it.
I've got a question there for you though, really quick. So are you saying that almost molecularly the feeling comes first and
Yes.
then the feeling impacts the thought?
And here's why. Everything we ever see, touch, smell, taste, or hear. So as you're listening to me, it's the first place it hits in your brain is your thalamus. That's the emotional center of our brain. And then depending if it's new information, like a lot of people they're going to be scared to death when they listen to me because it's new information. And so it hits their amygdala. That's our fear center. And anything we'd never experienced, our amygdala goes, no, I don't know this. Because our brain doesn't know right from wrong. We've all had that experience. We know the right thing to do, but we can't do it. We end up repeating, and we follow. And the reason we repeat something that's bad for us is feeling based. There's a feeling of, ooh, I don't want to go do that. Ooh, that feeling stops us, not the thought, the feeling.
Now, just as argument's sake, because this is happening to me right now. What you're saying is happening to me currently because you're shaking up my belief system. So I want to question you. So how could we possibly feel like something without having the thought? So wouldn't the thought say new information? Like that's technically a thought which causes that feeling?
But see, the way the brain processes is different. It's hitting the emotional center of our brain, bouncing off either the amygdala or the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is where we store really memories. We store those in our body. And that's what generates the feeling, which then sends it to the front part of our brain as cognition. So we're processing everything on a feeling base. You don't recognize it. You don't recognize it as conscious thought. The feeling happens before it. And so the reason you're having a thought, this is why you're getting that thought of, ooh, challenging my beliefs. It's remember the hypothalamus is memories and stored memories. Well, think of it as a child, the first time you were told you were wrong. So that's the fear that's coming up, and that's the start of the worst day cycle. Every one of us in childhood has been through trauma. It's undeniable. 80% of people would say, oh, my childhood was great. I can blow that up with 2 simple questions and say, no, we've all been through massive trauma. But we don't talk about it. That's a whole different sidebar. But so because of your hypothalamus picking up that body memory of when you were imperfect, that generates the thought, oh, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to be bad again. This is wrong. Don't change my beliefs. Now you're literally having a trauma experience to the new information, and that happens to all of us.
That's awesome. And so here's the thing is I've actually trained myself to get very excited about the trauma. So
that's what you have to do.
Yeah, so I'm actually in a state of, you know, sincere curiosity, and I'm excited to keep asking questions. So before we get here, because I really want to break into this for a second. So So we say our journey to success. What is the success? What is the good? Because I want to go there before we go backwards for a second.
That's a great question. And to be perfectly honest, it's an imperfection of mine. I would have loved to have titled the book anything other than that word. I just hadn't quite I was putting the pieces together and hadn't quite made the delineation yet. But when I picked that specific word, I don't teach success. Success is an outward process. It's the accumulation of things, wealth, status. I mean, look at it. All the wealthy, so-called successful people are all miserable because they're chasing something outside of themselves. They're looking for validation and proof. Look, I'm a professional. I'm these outside things. Or I've accumulated these outside things. Well, what my process teaches is the exact opposite. It's an internal process, what I call greatness. When you have that peace and that centeredness within yourself, regardless of whether you've achieved the things you want, the exterior stuff, you're at peace and you can navigate it and you can become who it is you're meant to be. It's no longer required on an outside status perspective. And
so would you say perhaps that this would be like your journey toward, or your journey to self-love? Is that
could be
closer to the idea?
I still haven't found the right word to really encapsulate it, because that's part of it, but it's much more than that. It's not just self-love, it's self-determination. It's really your destiny. It's who you really, what my process, all of us have had to separate from the authentic self that was born into this world. That's what the cycle, it's what happens to all of us in trauma. We lose ourselves.
So it's a journey to our authentic self.
It brings you back to what, biblically you could say that perfect child, that, that perfectness that we were all born with. It brings you back to that, your soul. I mean, people will call it, everyone has a different name for, the soul of who we are, but that's what it brings you back to.
Okay, so let's just say that you're right, and we start with the feeling, then we go to thought, then does thought affect feeling again?
It can. Here's how our brain formed. Our brain formed in 3 sections. The first was intuition, the second was emotion, the third was cognition. The problem with everyone on this planet is they're stuck in cognition. And yet what is our gut feeling? What is the essence of faith, source, God, whatever? It's intuition and emotion. It's a feeling sense, right? Well, cognition is meant to support the first 2. It's not meant to lead. And that's what my process does, is it drops the cognition, it gets you to lead from here, and cognition becomes what it was supposed to be, a support system. That's why it formed last. If cognition was the single most important thing we needed, why did we survive for millions of years without it? It's not meant to lead.
Yeah, good. So
the support system so we all work from our authentic soul and self. And that's what I've discovered is, how do you do that? Because thought robs you of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about in the book, most people live in what I call their trauma gut, not their true gut feeling. So they go, oh God, this feels right. And then it ends up with the exact same result. Well, that's not your true gut feeling.
Right.
That's being influenced by your trauma, which created those thoughts that makes you make that choice.
It's interesting. I feel like I know why you like his book so much now, because that's exactly what you teach to improv classes especially, but in all of our classes, is that authentic truth on stage.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's all emotion based.
Right.
What is acting? You have to get to the soul of your emotion. Well, what have we been taught about emotions for millions of years? Don't use them, don't talk about them, emotions are bad. Emotions run everything we do in our life. All communication is. Think about our communication so far. We're using words because you're having feelings about this discussion and you're trying to use words to communicate those feelings. That's like I teach communication classes and I'm like, no, ignore everybody's words. Listen for all the emotional content. Where's the influx or the intonation? Where does it change? What feeling words are they using? That's what they're trying to get across. The story itself doesn't matter. It's a waste of time. when you want to listen to someone, you have to be able to diagnose or identify what feelings they're going through. That's when somebody feels heard and understood.
Yeah, that's great. And people are so afraid of their feelings, which is one of the first things we do here is we say yes to the feeling, whatever that is, and you have to train yourself to do it because we've been trained not to throughout our lives. Okay, so
I teach the process of how to reattach, because you're right. Studies have shown 70% of the people on this planet are completely detached from feeling. They're going through their life and they think they feel, they're not. They're blank, numb, and the proof is this. Ask somebody, how you feeling? Good.
I know.
Those are not feelings.
I wrote about it in my book too. It drives me nuts when people say that.
And so I'll ask somebody, like when I'm helping somebody find their worst day cycle, I'll go, so where's that feeling? And they'll tell me a story. They can't say sad, scared, angry, frustrated. And very few people can ever say exactly what their feeling is. They don't even know.
Yeah. No, this all makes sense. So, I'm excited to dive deeper into this, but I want to put it on an acting axis really quick, since that's a lot of our audience here. So, this is making a lot of sense to me, and I'm just going to wrap this up. So so right on the homepage of our website, it says "Master your life through the craft of acting." We believe in the parallels between acting and life, and just as Kenny just mentioned, you kind of can't have one without the other. If we're trying to create authentic self on stage, that's what we also are trying to create in our lives. And so as we better ourselves as people, we become better actors. And as we become better actors, we literally become more successful. So that's how we're able to use the craft of acting to teach very similar concepts in life, in business, etc. So if we take the formula, and this is what's interesting, because I have a formula that works for acting, which is thought creates emotion, emotion creates movement. And sort of like, so it begins with the thought, and then you question that, and I agree with it. But here's where this comes from. Just about every character we play is working through their worst day cycle.
Yes.
So they actually are in the cognitive, pushing themselves into usually some sort of a heightened emotional state, which causes them to do whatever it is. And then ideally, if it's one of these, if it's a happy ending kind of story, we get to show the journey of them getting out of that cycle. That's essentially what we're doing as actors. So the thought, the emotion does come from the thought. However, where does the instinct come from? Where does the character's instinct come from? And that's why we do all the backstory work. That's why I say you can't play a character if you don't know that when they were born, their mom was on drugs. You cannot play the character if you don't know when your parents got divorced, or if they got divorced, or if when you were kicked out of the house, or when you first started smoking. Like, if you don't know those facts about your character, then you're unable to have those instinctual reactions, which is where everything begins. And so I love what you're saying, and I totally agree with it. And that's why I wanted to wrap my mind around how does it connect to the formula that I've worked through. And I think maybe I need to add an extra
step in there now. Yeah.
An extra step. Because
if you'd like, I can give you a simple process that'll completely explode the growth and development of all your students to find that answer.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Hold on. We're gonna go.
I don't really know if we want that. That doesn't sound that great.
We're gonna go to a commercial really quick, because we're right at our commercial spot here. So one more time, repeat what we're going to deliver here in 1 second. Keep everybody tuned in.
I'm going to show you a simple process where you can find the authentic self in that character and what the feeling is they're trying to overcome, which is what all acting is. It would be so easy for anyone to pick up.
All right, it's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about that when we get back. We are here with Kenny Weiss, the author of Your Journey to Some Word He Wishes Was Here Besides Success. We'll be right back.
A couple minutes of your time. I got a few things I'd like to talk to you about.
It was a way for us to get more comfortable listening to each other.
We're gonna go back and be more confident than ever.
Let's
We teach self-development, and we use acting to do that.
Did you always have a performer inside you?
It was something that I knew I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and I knew this was my thing.
You stress that in that book, that you have to have a plan every day and follow that plan. It's strikingly similar to the same things we talked about in business.
We had a really good time. The staff is amazing. We had some great group activities, learned a lot about ourselves individually, so highly recommend coming here.
Nothing I'm going to tell you is going to be revolutionary because it's just the truth. Anybody who speaks the truth, period. Because the plane's taking off every day. That's what I've decided. The plane of success is taking off, and I don't want to miss my flight.
I was going to talk about how I have used improv in engineering and in my work. What I learned from you is get out of your head. This class and the studio has made such a huge positive impact on my life, and I cannot thank you enough.
We're trying to help you work on you.
So today at Daring Studios, you're gonna learn how to be confident, how to have a voice, and use your voice.
What I love most about Jada coming to this place and being able to be a part of this family is that it just makes her more comfortable in her skin.
Okay, we are back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Brian and Joey and Mr. Kenny Weiss, author of Your Journey to Success. And we were just about to get into a method where as actors, we can live in our authentic selves as a character faster. So by bypassing the thought, we can get right into that emotional center. So, Kenny, let's talk about your idea on how our actors can get to their emotional center faster.
Here, what we need to identify in every acting is the emotion the character's going through, right? So let's take a character that's been raped.
Okay.
All right. Go on to Google, print off feelings list. Look at that. There'll be a whole, there's usually a lot of people like this wheel. And look at it and go, if this character had been raped, what feelings would they have? Abandonment, fear, anger, sadness, a whole cast of dark, heavy feelings. Now, have your actors ask themselves, when have I felt any one of those? And maybe and what I'd suggest is they pick out 2 or 3 that are like the really biggest ones that they see this character struggling with. Then take those 3 feelings and go, when was the first time I, as the actor, felt those exact same feelings? And then have them ask, where do you feel those in your body? And they'll instantly feel that the first, they'll feel an anger. It might be in their stomach or their chest or their head. Then the next thing you say to them is, when was the first time you felt that anger? And your student will instantly have a memory from childhood when mom, dad, whatever, teacher, coach, something like that, where they felt that exact same pain. Boom. That's what your character is going through, and that's what your actors need to then act from, is that pain. And now they are living in that pain, stuck in the worst day cycle, because the worst day cycle, everyone on this planet is stuck in the cycle. I can break anyone's life down in just like literally 10 minutes and show everybody is stuck in it. Because I just walk them through that process and boom, they go, oh my God, there it is. That's why you can't do, you know, whatever it is you're struggling with. Like if I can show you real quick, if any of you are struggling with something, you can't do it, and I'll walk you through, and boom, it's right there. There's your childhood trauma that's never been healed, and that's what's keeping you from overcoming this process. Well, that's how you get your actors to get into the space of the character that's struggling with the exact same thing. Now they identify, now they can act from that pain that the character is in.
So through
completely authentic.
Yeah, so through this process, the actor as themselves has to be open, be willing to go into that self-truth of what they've been through to connect with the character.
Exactly, because what did you say? Your whole process is bringing the authentic self to the character. Well, every one of your actors has pain that they've never dealt with. Well, what's more authentic than them acting from that pain?
Yeah.
That's the best they can be right now, because they haven't healed that pain. And so, my God, talk about, imagine that on the screen when they're acting from that authentic pain. Whoa.
Well, and I should warn too. There's you know, this needs to be handled very gently, because there's a so part of what you're talking about is called substitution, and I do believe in that to a degree for priming our instruments, but as actors, it can be very dangerous to work with emotions, to work with memories when we're not healed. And so to be very clear to our audience, we are not saying that you should always go into some sort of your own personal trauma, because unfortunately we can get stuck there when we're using it as actors. And so we want to create the imaginary character, live in that imaginary place. We can definitely prime our instrument using something from life, but we want to make sure that we've healed in that area. Definitely first.
That's what my process teaches. Is I call it emotional mastery, because I can go back into my pain.
Yeah.
And I can share it with anybody, and I do with my clients, and that's what creates the safety and vulnerability and the client willing to go there, is because I can go there, but I don't transfer it to my client. I can share it with them from an authentic place.
Right.
But not stay stuck, because there's a process to heal it, and that's what I've developed, is the process to heal it. And so from there, it doesn't run my life anymore, whereas my client, it is running their life. And so you're right. If you don't have emotional mastery, if you haven't been through my process, then yes, it could leave somebody stuck there. So I'm just giving you, because what is acting about? It's trying to find that authentic soul of the character. Well, the only way to find that is on an emotional level.
Right.
You have to identify emotionally, but you bring a great caveat and safety into it of, well, if one of your actors has been through a horrific experience and is, just suppressed it, well, yeah, that could create tremendous problems if they go there and don't have some sort of support system to then guide them out of it.
Yeah, and we've seen this, we've seen this in the public realm with famous actors who went too far and got themselves too deep into some of these emotions and couldn't get themselves out of it.
Well, and I think one of the things that we do specifically, it's not just when it comes to priming right before you perform, but kind of like continuing to do this work, continuing to so one of the first things that I had the actors do, because we're working on emotion right now, is get themselves an emotional journal, where they could kind of journal in some of those, sometimes past things, sometimes throughout the day as they're experiencing something, to describe it and write it down and sort of recreate, like you mentioned. And then the more that people do that, the more it just happens naturally once you've done the work.
Yeah.
And the best way for them, like as part of my process with my students, is take that feelings list and a minimum 5 times a day, check in. What am I feeling, and where in my body am I feeling it? because emotion is a body experience. And so to journal, we have to feel the emotion. And so that's how we can get reconnected to our body to experience the emotion and then journal about it. And that doesn't mean you have to go into the trauma of it, but you can at least get present emotionally. And so the key with emotions is it's a felt body experience. It is not cognitive. We store all of those emotions physically in our body. It's not, they're not stored in our head. They're stored in our body. And so that's why it's a body experience.
So, and obviously this book is pretty deep, everybody. So we're not going to be able to get through everything in this episode. You're going to need to go out and buy it. Where can people buy this book, Your Journey to Success?
It's on Amazon, Kindle, paperback, and
Great.
Audible, whatever format you like.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I've got a question for you. So if you're okay with diving into this, Bri, you want to dive in for a second?
I was thinking the same thing.
Sure, I'll dive in whenever. Yeah.
Okay, so our boy Brian here, and you talk a bit in the book about chronic illness. He's been dealt a hand, and we have as a team been battling together with an autoimmune disease, and gosh, been through a lot, and it seems to be that we keep getting these curveballs thrown at us, and Brian Guy is just a positive force. He is like an unstoppable positivity here and among all the students and people that he reaches. He's a public speaker. Has a lot of like unbelievable things, but he does tend to be getting attacked over and over and over again. So there does seem to be a cycle that we have not been able to shake. And so obviously God has his own path, and we're not saying that you can fix everything, but what would you maybe if Brian were to walk in, where would you start with him?
I've had a lot of clients who've had cancer and a lot of autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease is where the healthy cells, we attack, the healthy cells turn against us. And we literally are eating ourselves from the inside out. Well, remember I said, listen to when people talk, they're expressing emotion. Eating ourselves from the inside out. All right, that's what the cells are doing. So what that means is we have stuffed emotion that's literally eating us from the inside out. And that, even the Harvard Center, Harvard University Center on Childhood has talked about that. I mean, it's so funny. It's just weird how, because I live in that intuition and emotion place, I literally have an article right here. I don't know why I pulled it up, but I want to read you. Genetics is neither destined nor hardwired. And so people think, that autoimmune, it's destined. Oh, there's nothing I can do. It's my genes. Our genes contain instructions that tell our bodies how to work, but the environment leaves a signature on the genes that authorizes or prevents those instructions. The environment is our emotional condition, our childhood. And so I don't know specifically what autoimmune disease you're struggling with, but what it tells me, and the way DNA is formed, is the repeated firing of emotion. And so while your parents may never have had this, whatever whatever it is you're going through, that emotion has been going through your family and being passed down and never dealt with, and now it's being expressed in you. And I've had cancer patients who are stage 3, stage 4. We start working on I talk about this one lady. She came in, breast cancer. And I was like, so tell me what's going on. And she started telling me about her husband. And she's like, well, he doesn't listen. I said, so when he doesn't listen, how do you feel? Frustrated. I said, where do you feel that? Right here. I said, okay, so what else is going on? Well, and this happens. And where do you feel that? Right here. And I knew, because I know what breast cancer is, what causes it. And I made her do it 22 times. Where do you feel it? Right here. Where do you feel it? Right here. And I finally said, where's your cancer? And she just dropped. It's right here. She's been storing all of that inability to say no, the inability to ask for needs and wants, the inability, the people pleaser, trying, because most people with autoimmune diseases, they're givers, they give everything. It's called giving yourself away. They've done studies, Lou Gehrig's disease, clinicians, without ever testing them, 97% of them can diagnose ALS just by an intake. They do everything for everybody. They never take care of themselves, and that's why their body gives out. Gabor Mate, if you know who he is, he has great books on, you know, and most people with autoimmune diseases, they have no ability to say no. They do everything for everyone before themselves. They can't take care of themselves. It's always about somebody else. And there's a tremendous sense of guilt and shame if they ever do anything for themselves. And that, you know, can be from, you know, the way they were raised, bunch of different things. And so,
all right, Kenny. So here's what we're gonna do. We're pretty open books around here. Pretty brave, actually. We're a bunch of actors, you know. That's what we do. So we've got about 4 minutes. I'm gonna extend the show a little bit. So I'm gonna give you. You got 5 minutes right now with Bry Guy. Let's see some live on the air magic. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
What's the disease?
It's called ALPS, ALPS.
And what are its characteristics?
Essentially kind of what you said, the good cells attack the good cells. In the past, it's been a struggle with the platelets. That's where it all started. Way back when I was 19, I had...
What was going on when you were 19?
I just graduated high school. And so, yeah, because it was actually right at 18, right before 19. So graduated high school and was moving to Phoenix to just move on with life.
What was going on emotionally in your life? What was going on with your parents? What was happening emotionally in your life around that time?
I guess I was moving, like I said. So there was a little bit of a fear in just being in a new space.
Why were you moving?
I moved from Wickenburg to Phoenix.
Okay. And what was it like in your childhood growing up? Were your parents divorced? What was?
They are now. They weren't then. So I mean, there was some fighting and stuff around that time. Probably the seeds of that.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have 2 little brothers.
Who's the favorite?
Me.
There you go. Bingo. Now we're on to it. And who were you made to take care of as the favorite? Who relied on you emotionally?
Probably my youngest brother, Joey.
Okay. In what ways did you have to take care of him?
Drive him around places, take him to school.
Did mom or dad suffer with addiction? Sorry, normally I'd be much more calm. We got 4 minutes, so I would be much more caring and everything, but I'm trying to...
No, I like it. It's like a speed round.
Yeah, so normally the process is much longer, but I'm trying to cut to the chase.
Sure.
Any addiction? What were mom and dad's lives like? Were they around much? What was going on?
Yep, mom was my teacher, so I was at school with her a lot, and then my dad worked at Bash's, and yeah, they were pretty present in my life as far as like connecting with me on certain things, but not on discipline.
Okay, so you weren't disciplined. How did they make you the golden child?
By calling me number one.
All the time.
Yeah, my brothers hate it.
Okay, and that becomes the defense mechanism. When a parent places a child as a golden child, that's a overwhelming responsibility and an abandonment of the child, because look at what we have to live up to. I'm the one. Well, what if I'm not the one? And so all this responsibility is placed on us to be the one. That people think that's great to do to a child. It's horrifically damaging, because there's this, we're too young of, whoa, you've just placed the responsibility of the family and the family's success and carrying the name of the family on my shoulders. I thought that's your job. So that creates tremendous abandonment, tremendous neglect, because now I am feeding them emotionally. They need me to be number one for them to feel a sense of worth. So what's the best way for me to get out of that responsibility? What happens when we get sick, hurt, lose a job, a relationship ends. Right? I don't know if you got into this part of my book, but what happens when we get sick and hurt?
You get taken care of.
Yeah, finally. It's about freaking time. You spent your whole childhood taking care of your brother, mom and dad, and trying to be perfect for them. Like, God bless you. You found a way to finally get taken care of. Like, my heart breaks like that. Like, I'll cry. That's devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely devastating. And this is why even the CDC, like this whole COVID thing, even there, I put it in the book, even their own studies show a minimum of 85% of all illness and disease has an emotional content. Everything is trauma-based. The studies are overwhelming. Like I bring it up. Look, if you're sick, it's unhealed trauma. Bruce Lipton proved this. There's only 3 diseases. If you're born with that gene, you're guaranteed to have that disease. Everything else, cancer, all of them, get turned on by the emotional environment you're in. Sometimes it can be you can ingest carcinogens, but almost always it's emotion. And so we don't have much time, and this breaks my heart that I can't really help you through this because it's a speed round to kind of dump this here, but that's what's going on. It's a defense mechanism. Will somebody please just take care of me and let me be me? That's where the authentic self gets lost. That's what happens in trauma. We lose ourselves because for us to survive as a child, we are the only species we need attachment, physical and emotional attachment, or we'll die. And so we become whatever our parents need for that attachment. Well, you realize golden child, but after a while, it started to eat you from the inside out. And so we have to, when we give up our authenticity, our soul, for attachment. Well, then our soul tries to come out. Well, because no one's taught us about the worst day cycle, no one's taught us how to heal, the best way we know how is to victimize ourselves. And as I talk about in the book, look at society. We all do it. What happens in a riot? We're angry at the police, the government, and what do? We destroy our own neighborhoods. We all self-victimize to get the power back that we lost, that you had to give up to get attachment. I have to be perfect for my parents to love me. Otherwise, I'm nothing. So what's my solution? Now I'm an adult, 18, 19-year-old. I will eat myself from the inside out. I will victimize myself because at least now I can choose it. I'm in power. It's the only sense of power I have in my life. So the solution for you would be a lot of work to regain your authentic power that's not self-destructive. And everyone on the planet does this. There's nothing bad about you. There's nothing wrong. This is the only model we use because no one's taught what I teach. That's what's groundbreaking about it. Like, what do we get there in 4 minutes? I can do this with anybody and then show you the process to turn it around so that you can reclaim your authentic self and you don't have to eat yourself from the inside out from all that abandonment and pain and neglect. And your parents aren't bad people. We've never taught how to be a parent. So they're doing the best they can without the right information. They adore you.
I completely agree, Kenny. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah, Kenny.
Look at him getting right to the heart. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I'm sure we're going to check in with you post the show, Kenny. Thank you so much for being on. And you're right, by the way. His parents are great people, and they're probably watching right now, actually. Very supportive, very loving.
They didn't mean to. Like, I'm not here to bash parents. They didn't mean to.
No,
yeah. They just haven't been taught how this works.
Everybody on the show knows my feeling. You're gonna screw up as a parent. I know that to be true. It's like you're gonna hug them too much or not enough, so you do your best. And ideally, you teach your kids to kind of heal themselves early and acknowledge that you're not perfect so that your kids can tolerate you, I guess, when you get older. So, yeah, thank you, Kenny, so much. It's been a real delight, a treat to have you on. Thank you for the lessons, the connection back into acting. Anything you want to leave us with, any way that our audience can reach out to you if somebody's interested in working further?
Well, first of all, I just want to commend you for your tremendous courage. That's just very vulnerable and shows what a kind soul you have to be willing to share this with everybody. So that says a tremendous amount about you. And thank you for honoring me with that vulnerability. That's a gift. I appreciate that. And like I said, I wish I had more time to be more kind and loving through that process for you. And I feel a little off about leaving you with that and not being able to support you appropriately, but I appreciate it. As far as reaching out to me, just Google me, Kenny Weiss. You'll see my website, kennyweiss.net. You'll find my book, Your Journey to Success. I also have a whole online university where I teach how to overcome all of this. You can email me directly at kw@kennyweiss.net. And if there's anyone struggling with anything in their life and they've resonated with this, I'll do a free breakthrough call, not a sales call, but a breakthrough call to educate you on this. And then you can decide if you're ready to do the work. And if you are, like I said, I work with people individually. Businesses bring me in and, I speak. And then I also have a whole online platform that is a groundbreaking platform. I don't just dump you there. I'm in the group. I teach you twice a week. So it's, there's a tremendous, because this is the problem. No one's had support. And so I support you like no one in the industry does. And the transformation, whether it's one-on-one or in the group, is pretty overwhelming. And people get their lives back. So if I can help in any way, please let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you for being on the show. We appreciate having you. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.